Now, this has been a point of contention for me for many years because normally what I would have to do is go up like this, mark it on either side, screw it in, and then also go back here and figure out how to make that work. I would sometimes go ahead and rip a piece of wood that would fit back here, so that would make that stable there. But two things that I got. These are add-ons to drawer slides. They're basically back supports. They slide on the back, so once you actually secure the front of the slide to the actual rail here, this can get secured right to the back. And then that way you have a little adjustability to make sure you're perfectly square in the opening. Now, in doing that, it's always been a pain to support this slide. Until now. When this came out, I was the happiest little minx in the world. You take out this little runner right here. I should show you as I just put it back on. Let me stick it back on to show you where to pull it. On any kind of drawer slide, you'll see on the side, they normally have either a button, and this one has a lever. So all we do is pull that off, remove that, put that aside. Now, it's my new gizmo. This is a drawer mount by Kreg. It makes it so much easier. Now, here's the beauty. There's a magnet right here. I take the drawer slide, slide it onto the magnet, and it's holding. Now I take it and slide it right up against this stop here, just like that. And now it's being held by this drawer mount system. Now I can take it, bring it over here. Now, because of the way this jig works, is holds it up to the exact dimension on either side. I grab a clamp. I clamp it in place. Now all you have to do is slide the drawer so where I can get in here to see the hole. Can you get in there and see that? That's the hole where I'm going to screw through. And at this point it's taken me, what, 15 seconds? I'm using a Vicks bit. It's nothing more than a way to center a drill bit. You can see the little sheath here that pulls away and it drills it. Just basically pre-drills it. I stick it in there. Give a little punch there, grab some screws in my pocket, and a little drill. Take the screw, and drive it right in place. Now, I know my head was in the way for most of that. But now, what's nice about this is that this drawer slide is perfectly perpendicular to your face frame. So, oh, I forgot to put this thing on the back. Okay, so this supports the drawer slide at a perfect 45 or perfect 90-degree angle. Now, because that's a perfect 90-degree angle, I know it's square and everything's good. I can literally grab a screw, throw it right in the back now to support it temporarily. And that one, just one screw. So if you need to adjust it slightly, you shouldn't. But that one's installed. Do the same on the other side. Okay, so now our drawer slides are installed on the box. Cool thing is we can take our runners, run them right back in again. These would normally get attached to your drawer box. So we can just put them back on, because this is where it gets even more fun. This next thing, they're nothing more than supports. So all they do, this thickness here is the same thickness as the other jig, slides up underneath, we clamp it in place like that. Whoop, okay, so that's clamped. Now these supports, this is where it gets cool. So normally I'd either have to mark or put the drawer slides on there and figure out exactly where they go. I don't anymore. I just put the box right on the supports. I'm completely letting go. Grab a screw and pull this support out, or this one rail, all the way out. Grab one of my screws and run it right in the front. Now I'm going to make sure that this drawer slide is flush with the front of the box. So I'm going to hold it still. And work yourself all the way down. You can pull it out as far as, depending on how deep your drawer is, will depend on how far you can pull it out. So the nice thing is that now I didn't have to mark for it. I didn't have to do anything. I can find the holes here and just start running it in, just like that. come over here, do the same thing with the other slide. You know what? Keep rolling, because this is just too simple to miss. You just do the same exact thing. Run it right there. Give yourself a little adjustability when you're running it in. There's ones right here where you can see you can go up and down. There's some that are actually just regular holes that will fit the exact circumference or diameter of the screw. And then there's some that allow you for left and right. So use a little combination of both. So I'm putting that one in. Rocking that in. Now, the box just slid right in. You're going to want to go back and make sure you get the back screws. But that's it. There's your drawer. Full extension all the way. Drawer works nice and even. And the only reason why that worked so well and was so easy was because of the drawer mounts and the drawer mounting jig. There's no other way to do that. You'd be back and forth trying to adjust it in the opening. Look at that. Perfect. All right, so now we've got our drawer. We can't leave it like that. We have to cover that opening, basically make it look nice. So to do this, we could use a really thick piece of wood. Now, most wood does not come 14 inches wide. And if you do, I'd be a little concerned that that wood would warp and cause all sorts of problems down the line. You could use plywood and veneer the edges like you did here in the drawer box, but then you can't round over edges. You're stuck with sort of this profile, just very square. Nothing wrong with that, but it'll save you a little money if you just want to use the plywood for that as well, because then you just make one cut. But what we're going to do is take 2 pieces of the pine, same material that we used for the face frame, and we're going to actually nothing more than secure them together and make sure that it looks, not make sure, but make it look like a big piece of wood. Make it look like it was one big piece. And to do that, all we're going to do is run some pocket holes here, stick it together, and basically do a glue up. Anytime that you're putting 2 boards together and you're doing glue up, now you could, if you're old school, you can use biscuits or anything like that, but that takes time. And the one thing that when you're doing a project like this, you don't want to be gluing it up and letting it sit and having to come back to do it later. The nice thing is now I can drill some pocket holes here, do a little bit of sanding, and this whole entire front is completely done. So to do that, you need 2 surfaces that are completely straight. Now if you look right here, dive in there. See, when I push those 2 together, how that seam almost disappears completely. And the reason is because I grabbed 2 pieces and I wanted to make sure, again, this is all stock stuff. You can see there's a little bit, like on this one, it kind of bows a little bit that way. Make sure you get good straight stuff to begin with. If you don't have a joiner like I have here, you need to make sure that they're close. The pocket holes and the screws will pull it tighter and give you a little bit better dare I say, you can get away with a little more because the screw pulls the joint and forces the wood to bend to it. But try to start out with a nice straight joint so that way when you push them together, there's no effort and there's no basically stress on the wood.
But it all starts with drilling some pocket holes, roughly 6 to 8 inches apart. Just make sure you don't drill too close to the edge of the board because remember, we're trimming that off flush later on down the line. Add a little bit of glue, lay your pieces flat, use either the clamp table or Kreg face frame clamps.
And then I'll grab one of the extra large face frame clamps and I'll do this. I clamp it here to hold it and then I grab this so there's no shifting and apply it right in the middle of the joint there and then just run my screws that way. You can see you've got a nice joint just like that. Now you can still see a little bit. It's not, it may be off by maybe a micrometer or something. So I'll grab a sander and just hit the front. But watch how this gap completely goes away. Take a shot of this. See this right there? It looks like a seam. You can tell it's a seam. What's nice about pine, a little bit of sanding, and that seam goes completely away. And a quick tip on sanding, if your joint is off a lot, don't take the sander and kind of rank it on the side. Because all you'll do is create a groove. Kind of go over the entire board.
Now it's time to cut your drawer front to final length. Trim off one side, mark the overall length, and then trim off the other. And technically you could stop there, but I want to make this as safe as I possibly can. So I figured why not just round over the fronts of the drawers with a little trim router with a round over bit in there. That way the kids don't catch their clothes, no splinters, no worries.
All right, so there's the drawer front right there. Now, how we attach this can get kind of tricky depending on how you do it. I recommend, I have this piece right here, which is nothing more than a scrap piece of wood I have around. It's 2.5 inches, so it's basically a 1x3. I am just taking it and clamping it up flush to this top, here and here. Because I used it on these as well, you can kind of see how easy it is. I'm also going to take and mark, because of all the measurements, there's a 1/2 inch overlay on either side. So I'm just going to put a little hash mark right there, just like that. Now I'm going to take my drawer front, dust it off real quick, and I'm going to use this piece of wood as a guide for the top, so that I know it's perfectly square. So I put it on like that, push it up tight, throw on the glasses. Now, you could use, a lot of people use hot glue guns or something like that to kind of make sure it sticks. I'd normally just put a couple of nails, just real quick, just pop them in. I know you can't see a thing. It's not the end of the world. Just like this. And now what we can do is I normally leave the clamps on, grab my drill, grab a couple of the Kreg screws, and then just run it in from behind. All right, there's that. Now, all that spacer did, as you can see, kept it nice and straight with all of the drawer slides all the way across the top. Boom, so they're exactly perfect all the way. Everything's nice and uniform. The drawer works. Now you could put handles on this, knobs, whatever you wish. Just think about the kids getting into the bed, something that won't catch on them, or they won't catch on it with their clothing. So, it's all done.